Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes released on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 4th to Thursday the 7th of April. Hope you are all keeping very well. Unfortunately, it's been a sad week this week, but we've remembered June Brown in a special episode, which if you get time, we recommend you listen to or watch after you watch this episode where we've done our roundup. However, I cannot do the roundup on my own. I cannot. Here is Rob. Here he is. He's had a haircut. Hello, Rob.
Look at this. Look at my hair. The more of my head in view. Hello. Hopefully, this week, everything crossed, technology allows people to actually see my hair this week. 'Cause last week I could have had a Mohican and no one would have known about it, would they? I could have had an acid pink Mohican and nobody would have had a clue. But hopefully this week all will be in working order. Are you well, Mr. TV star? How are you? I mean, I feel honoured to be in your presence. Could I have a signed photograph? Would that be all right?
Absolutely. Just if anyone wants a signed photograph, it's £5. For a photograph, is 10. I was on BBC News this week, giving an interview about June Brown and the news I mentioned at the top of the show.
Oh yeah.
So it was for quite sad reasons for why I was on there, but it was not. It was not lovely to talk about her and reminisce about her stories.
It was indeed, and I would also like to say a big hello to all of Alex's colleagues that are now watching this week, because now they know that he does a podcast, because he had to go out on his lunch break and do that interview. So now they all know, and now they've all seen his interview. So hi, everyone.
I don't know what's more embarrassing.
He's the one that's nicking all the pencils. He's the one that nicks all the pencils. He's the one that nicks all the pencil sharpeners. Yes, it's him. It's him. He told me.
It's true. It's true. That's why you've suddenly started ordering loads more. Yeah, I don't know what's more embarrassing. The fact that the people at work now... Not that I'm embarrassed to do this podcast. I love doing this podcast, but it's not something I kind of... Unless someone says, I watch EastEnders, I don't say, oh, well, I do an EastEnders podcast. It tends to not crop up very often, you see. But, the fact I had to do it in my car, I felt really embarrassed too. It's like... Because when I had the Zoom phone call, I had it blurred in the background. And the BBC producer said to me, "Oh, can you turn that off, please? Because it's making your face look shiny." I was like, "Yes." And so then you can just see the building behind me. But yes, it was lovely to do that interview. I did a few more interviews on radio as well. I don't think I'm going to be asked to do Strictly just yet. But one day, maybe that time will come. Just so people know. This will be a slightly shorter episode this week, but it doesn't mean we're going to miss out anything, because we're going to start off with Tina's funeral. Yes, we can't anymore say that Tina is still alive. We can't do hashtag Tina's still alive or anything like that. They've now done the funeral. And Linda turned up, but wasn't given the memo that it was going to be a nice, bright, rainbow-coloured funeral. But also a big bombshell also happened this week, where Janine and Mick are now official. But let's start off with the funeral scenes first of all. It was nice to see them come off the square for a change. We thought this could never happen. They didn't do it for many people's deaths, but they did it for Tina. No, Tina's got... I love the fact that the only thing that Tina really seems to be remembered for, and anything that is ever associated with Tina, is being a lesbian. The curse was in Rainbow Pride. Shirley, when she was looking for her, said she must be in the gay bars. It's the only place she'll be. It's the only place that Tina thinks to exist. Yeah. It's the only... And yet, the only person on the square that doesn't know her like that is Billy, who managed to turn her straight for a night. Or it just doesn't... It's very mad to me. Hey, I did like Billy's bow tie.
I also love the fact... Yes, Billy's bow tie was excellent. It was very good. It was a good bow tie. I want one of those bow ties, actually. I think that would suit me. But I'd quite like it to spin and flash lights and play music. I'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Like the campest Frank Butcher that ever lived. That would be me. Yes.
It really would.
It really would be. We could. I'd love that. Yes. So Tina's funeral, it occurred. It was nice. I mean, we said that we wondered what sort of excuses might be given for, various Carter absences. Not one. No one got mentioned.
No.
John, we didn't
explain
no,
it away
no, they
at
didn't
all.
bother. No, they didn't. I mean, you could think about it in two ways. Number one is that they just thought, screw it. It's not like, if you've got cast disappear, if people in the cast can't make it, then what can you do? Yeah. And to be fair, if they had given excuses, we'd have took the mick out of each excuse as they gave it to us. Oh, right, so Johnny couldn't make it because of that reason. Oh, right, Aunt Babe isn't there for that reason and shit. Oh, Zaza didn't bother to go for him. So, they saved them all that aggro, didn't they? No, we won't mention the excuses at all. Won't mention them. Just won't mention the excuses. That's absolutely fine.
No need.
No, it was a small intimate affair. Linda was there. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, it was a small intimate affair, really, wasn't it?
It was a small funeral, wasn't it?
Very small. Yeah, it looked as though they was sort of all filmed with COVID guidelines as well, didn't they? Because everyone was like sort of spaced out, and I don't know. Are we like at the tail end of what COVID production is going on at the minute? We just haven't spotted it for ages.
Well, they must have been filming that around January time, I would have thought. So the laws had been lifted in England by that point. Because I turned to Ben and said the same thing. I said, "Oh, the reason that's been such a small ceremony is because of COVID." And so, for the first time ever, they're actually sticking to like some kind of COVID land on EastEnders. But I know it was really strange that there were so few people. I mean, Kathy was meant to be there, but Kathy didn't turn up in the end. So I suppose that's one number down of the grand scheme of things. But I think the important people who needed to be there were there, because there was that lovely setup scene when Billy was there, but Mick kind of stood up and gave his speech. And it was at this point when Linda kind of was about to go in to comfort him, but then Janine got up to comfort him. But throughout the funeral as well, Linda kept looking behind her and looking at Janine and thinking, "Oh, I know you from somewhere. Don't I know you. I do." And then it suddenly twigged that there was a plan. Not only I'm a celebrity on her TV telly box, but also she came in and got her drunk and brought back her alcoholism all over again. Not that she ever, an alcoholic is always an alcoholic, but Linda figured it out. But because she then had a drink, and that really crazy shot where they had her outside the church, where they kind of zoomed in but at the same time spun around at the same time, which I was very excited about. Did you not like that? I really liked that effect, actually. I thought it showed her spiraling out of control.
Alex, if John Sen's name was on the credits, you would have kicked off massively about that and said, "Oh, Sen FX are still live and well then." To me, it looked as though Linda had just downed a load of radioactive waste and was suddenly tripping out all over the place. She was about to turn into some sort of superhero.
No, because if John Sen had been on the credits, it would have been one of many different times that they'd done it during the funeral scene. They would have had a camera spinning around the coffin. There would have been flames coming up in the air, like music blaring out for no reason whatsoever. But no, they just did one little down, bit Lenny. Right at the end with the camera going down. But yes. So Linda's realization of Janine being there and desperately trying to tell her family that, she tricked her, but they didn't believe her because of the drinking. How did you feel about that? Were you screaming at the TV screen going, "Please, someone believe her"? Well, a little bit.
It was good. I did like all that sort of thing. Janine has got some nerve, hasn't she? You can't fault the girl. The fact that she was well aware Linda was there. She sat a couple of rows behind her, and then went up to comfort Mick and put his arm around her and hugged her. You found the words. Like, fair to going balls. I half expected Linda and her to be rolling around the aisle in the middle of the funeral. I really did, because that was some gall. I'll give her that. I'm wondering about this whole Mick and Janine thing. Something about this week didn't feel right for me. I'm wondering if there's some ulterior motives here. I think Janine's up to something, I really do. Because Mick and Janine, the kissing scenes are a little bit awkward. It's almost as if Janine is hesitant. And they seem to...
I know.
And it's like they're resisting letting them sleep together. And it's kind of like, why are you doing that? What are you kind of waiting for? And I can't help but wonder if Janine is sort of... I think all this thing, with Janine having the daddy issues and seeing a lot of Frank in Mick or whatever, and the fact that she's in the Vic, which is where Janine has always wanted to be.
Yes.
I can't... And the whole point of her being in the Vic, may I remind you, was to have some sort of stability to show a social worker when she was trying to get Scarlett back in her life, which she seems to have forgotten about in recent weeks, So I cannot help but wonder...
Scarlett's just been pushed to one side.
Scarlett couldn't get less about Scarlett, but I just think that there is some ulterior motives going on, and I wonder if Janine is even really that interested in Mick, or even the other way around. I feel like there's some little twist to be revealed here. Something doesn't feel right.
Right. It's funny you should mention that, because all week I've been thinking the same but opposite. I've been thinking, has Janine actually kind of fallen for Mick here? Is this actually something that she didn't expect to happen? Maybe there was a trick there, but now she's realised that she has fallen for Mick after all. But you saying about the awkward kissing, I hated watching them kiss this week. It was it was really really awkward. Like every single time they kissed, like on the sofa, and Mick kind of lunged himself toward, and there was definitely tongue as well. And not that I'm embarrassed by stuff like that, but that was an awkward tongue placement by Mick in Janine's mouth. Did you not? It all felt very kind of uncomfortable and not right. And so you're saying that Janine kind of maybe found herself uncomfortable as well? Do you found like that Janine kind of found herself uncomfortable too?
Maybe. I just think, I don't know, it's almost as though Janine, like, I swear at one point, even before the one on the sofa, it was like she took a deep breath before she went in there. You know, as if she was sort of preparing herself before she went in. I don't know. And the suggestion tonight when they decided to go off on the holiday thing, and, you know, Mick said, we could take Ollie with us. And Janine seemed against that idea as well. I don't know. Because we have to remember this is Janine we're talking about here. Okay? There's always something going on with Janine. I think, watch this space. I think there's more to this than meets the eye, I have to say. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong indeed. But I'm not convinced myself personally. However, Linda fully back on the sauce this week, and properly back on the sauce as well. Like she is just drunk all the time, basically drunk all week, and Sharon has taken her in, and has basically kind of taken the risk of the fact, right? Yeah, no, you come and stay with me. I don't mind like looking after you. I have experience of looking after alcoholics. You'll be fine. I am a dab hand at this. Don't you worry. So he takes Linda in, and gives Linda the sofa, of which Linda spends most of the week unconscious on the sofa because she's just recovering from this horrific hangover that she had from all her escapades at the funeral. Did you enjoy the drunk? Yes. Did you enjoy the drunken? Well, what we got from the drunken confrontation between Janine and Linda?
Yeah, I mean, that was interesting, wasn't it? Yet again, Janine kind of, you could tell she played the innocent act in front of Mick. She kind of panicked again when Linda mentioned the text message saying like, when you sent me that text message, but lucky for her, Mick kind of didn't pick up on that and was more concerned about the scene that Linda was making in front of them in the Vic. Something else I picked up on, was that, did you notice that Jada said to Sharon about having an alcoholic mum? She said, you need to protect your child with a drunk mum or something along those lines.
Yes.
So do you think there's a link there for Jada, a story coming up with Jada going forth, where we're going to find out that Jada's family, perhaps her mum, perhaps both her parents? Because you're right to say that Sharon's quite used to having or looking after an alcoholic parent herself, being her own mum, Angie.
Linda is nothing.
So
Linda isn't about to go. I mean, Linda isn't about to climb into a digger and trash off the square. Linda isn't about to go and set fire to the Vic. Linda isn't about to go and sit on cocaine and be on crack for 2 weeks. You know, so this is nothing.
Yes, that's with Phil.
Sharon could deal with Linda in her sleep. It's absolutely fine. Not a problem there at all. Yeah, you could be right.
Yeah,
you could be right there. Although I kind of think that Jade is supposed to be the sort of character that, you know, we just accept is from troubled background. And usually, troubled background means alcoholic parents somewhere along the line, whether it be the mother or the father. So I kind of feel as though they've just almost sort of just ticked that box with Jada and said, yeah, of course she's a troubled child. She had an alcoholic mother who we might meet one day. Who, you know, it's sort. I think it's sort of, you know, the idea of the alcoholic mother is sort of there on the shelf for Jada, as and when they require, as and when they need it, they can bring Jada's mum in. But you know, I think with sort of Sandy floating around, they've almost got that character almost sort of take that role.
I thought that too.
So maybe later, because it would be nice to. No, I think they will, but it will be nice to sort of see more of Jada's background. But I think that's more. I think that's more something for the future, anyway.
I just, like I say, I think Sharon could relate to it because obviously, as you rightly said, there's Phil who she had to look after, but also
and
her
Angie,
own mum Angie who she had to look after. Yeah. So you know, there's those links together, and it's nice to have Jada to have something other than the fact that she's been told by Billy to flirt. Or Will's been told by Billy to flirt, and you know, Billy and Martin tried to hook them up, and then Billy got the wrong idea and thought that they were going on a date instead, Martin and Billy, which I thought was equally as strange. I think that bow tie on Billy kind of turned him a little bit, you know, made him question his own sexuality for like that afternoon, after the funeral.
His inner Tina began to climb out. Yes.
Be more teen. But yeah, no, it was nice. I think the confrontation. I think we thought that there'd be a bigger confrontation between Janine. We thought there'd be a bigger confrontation between Tina and Janine than we ended up getting.
Yes, I did. But I think it's more. I think there's more to come, isn't there? I think that I think that they might because obviously, Linda's not going anywhere now. Linda's back now, like officially back, and she's living with Sharon. And Janine is effectively going to be living in the Vic before too long. And Linda made no qualms about constantly telling anyone that would listen, quite frankly, that she still has power over the Vic. It's still her pub. And Mick is still her husband.
Yes.
The divorce hasn't been finalised yet. So Linda's sort of shadow has nowhere near disappeared. And there seems to be a little thing going on with Nancy and Shirley. They seem to have some sort of plan cooking along in the background. We found at the end of the week. So, yeah, I don't think Janine's quite got her claws in as much as she thinks she has just yet.
What about Nancy and Zack as well this week? Because Zack kind of decided to completely forget about doing his cooking competition and kind of pursue a relationship with Nancy instead, comforting her, looking after her. Nancy obviously wanted to be pursued as well, or wanted to have this kind of comfort blanket from Zack this week because of everything that's been going on, not just Tina's funeral, but also seeing her mum still drinking and seeing her parents kind of being very much a broken relationship. And Zack sacrificed, his placement in the competition, which miraculously the person who won the competition had many phone calls the next day from many different people who wanted to do TV interviews and all kinds of stuff with her. And so that
imagine that, Alex. Imagine that.
And imagine that kind of situation. I mean, and had Zack and wanted to kind of thank Zack for kind of looking after her. So the Zack and Nancy relationship's back on, I hope. I see.
I know.
Excited about.
It's so sweet to see. I love it. Yeah, Nancy's doing all sorts of things for Zack, and Zack has probably stood up. They like each other, don't they? They really, really like each other.
Yes.
And it's just a lovely little relationship to watch. I still think that I'm extremely jealous of Nancy because he looked lovely this week, didn't he? He just in his suit that he was wearing at one point during the week, and then went into.
Did you like the turtleneck?
Did you? Spin class gear. Yes, I did. Basically, Zack's fashion was this week. Oh, Maddie Hill, you lucky cow. That's all I can say. Yes. Lovely.
Yeah, I mean, Zack and Nancy, I'm totally on board for. And hopefully they stay behind after, obviously, Mick's leaving. Presumably Linda might be going with him.
Yes. Do you think that there's ever going to be a mention of Zack and Janine again? Now that Janine is kind of going to be basically living at the Vic and Zack and Nancy are much closer. So do you think that's ever going to rear its head again, or do you think that was just one of those sorts of things that was stuck at the wall and we'll never hear from again?
Likely the latter, I'll be honest.
Okay.
Plus, I'm not disappointed by that. I like Zack and Nancy. I've never held back on that. I like their relationship. I think they work brilliantly together, the two actors as well. And they just remind me of what I imagine a young Mick and Linda were. And that's why I like it in a weird way. I just imagine.
Yeah, it's nice. They are lovely. Love them. Love Nack. What are they called? Nack. We love Nack. Or Zancy.
We love Nack. Nick Nack.
We love Nack. Nick Nack. There we go. Lovely.
Nick Nack. There you go. So there we go. That was Tina's funeral. Not much really about Tina, other than a photograph outside the Vic with a couple of jugs of cocktails. So again, kind of, I felt a bit like Tina was kind of shoved to the B plot while everything else happened around her, which kind of was almost a fitting end for Tina.
It summed up Tina.
Kind of weird way.
Exactly.
It's sad. It did. It summed up Tina quite well. Right, so we are now going to start talking about Rainie and Stuart, their little baby Roland and Vi. And I just want to shock Rob straight away this week by saying I liked Vi this week. Yes.
There you go.
I enjoyed her story, but she was more toned down. Yes. There's always a caveat, but she was more toned down and she was much better. And it was lovely that she kind of looked after Rainie, and she was saying that you look after the little baby and I'll look after the big one, Stuart. Yeah. And also it's nice to see Stuart feeling bad for what he did to Tina as well. Something I actually kind of forgot a little bit. So I tend to forget things that Stuart had done in the past.
Yeah. I know, it's very easy to do, isn't it? It seems as though we've basically got this big old teddy bear walking around these days, not the absolute nutter that we had. That picture of Stuart. I can't remember what he was doing. He was like, it was during the height of the whole thing when he was terrorising the Carters, and he'd like had a cut on his head and he was staring into the mirror, and they'd lit it up to make him look like something out of a horror movie, and he genuinely looked psychopathic. You know that picture? It's really hard to believe that he's the same character. I can't. It's mad. Honest to Christ, it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, no, that whole thing was nice this week. I mean, do you still think that they're heading down a more serious route with Stuart with this, or do you? Because we didn't really get much talk about the operation this week or anything that he's supposed to be having, so maybe it's next week. Because remember, the doctor had basically turned around to him and say, "Yeah, you need this operation like yesterday, mate. So we need to get you into the theatre ASAP." But we didn't really hear a massive amount about it or the baby or anything else this week. So, do you think that there's still some slightly darker route going for this?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they seem to be showing Stuart's mortality as well, like his whole thing was obviously that he couldn't believe Tina had died. He couldn't believe he wasn't able to say goodbye properly and get the forgiveness that he felt like not that he deserved, that he felt like Tina deserved. You know, he wanted to apologise for everything he'd done. No. And yeah, I think he just questioned his mortality this week, and I think that's a scary road that they seem to be taking. I mean, as you say, they still, this operation last week had to be done ASAP, and yet he's still not on that operating table. And Bernie kind of got the promise that Stuart was going to get better and fix himself, but he's still not kind of given himself the confidence to get back on that operating table. I do worry this is going to take a really, really dark turn.
Yeah, I know. Well, the thing is, obviously the main thing that he's worried about is that the drugs that they're going to give him are going to trigger him to sort of falling off the wagon. Would you be interested to actually see that happen and sort of see his worries kind of come to pass? Or do you think that that's going to be a bit of a dodgy message for them to send out and they won't go there?
I think it'd be a good story. I have to say, I think it'd be a good story to tell. Seeing someone who is an ex-addict having to curb themselves. I mean, we know how the EastEnders does enjoy an NHS bash every now and then. So, but the doctor should be aware of this, and so should kind of give him or steer him into the right direction where he's given the right medicines, i.e., opioids would obviously be a big no-no because they are incredibly addictive. But then painkillers in any form can be addictive. Yes. I wonder where this could head. I mean, we've tweeted about it. I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show, but Ben and I are huge fans of a TV show from HBO called Euphoria, and it's really interesting to see someone who's an addict who it's like the alcoholism. Once you're something, you're always that thing. It's just learning how to cope with it. So either you kind of try to pull yourself away from it and become completely clean, or like some addicts are, you just have they go to a safe place, so they're able to take the drugs in a safe environment, knowing full well that there's help there if they need to. And perhaps maybe that's a route they'll take with Stuart. If he's taking these drugs, then he's going to be in an environment where his mum Vi's there, Rainie's there to look after him. His nan, his nan's there. Halfway's there. Callum's there. They're all. It's a safe environment for him to take the drugs, so then he can kind of get himself better in an environment where he's going to be looked after. That's the danger. If Stuart is left on his own with these drugs, then he's going to be a much more dangerous, and he might then curve and turn back into that person that this week he looked at himself and saw he hated with Tina.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to see that, because I think it's very important to always distinguish between characters and trying to making it sound as though they are talking about everybody that's in this situation as a whole, like as if Stuart of all people is representative of a whole conglomerate of people. That's not a thing. Stuart is his own character, and Stuart is actually quite a unique character in a lot of ways, and has his own, and very much goes to the beat of his own drum in a lot of ways. Which is why I thought it was a nice story to give Stuart in the first place, sort of breast cancer, and see how someone like Stuart deals with that. So I personally would like to see them go further with that, and especially with Rainie as a support mechanism, who herself can be a little bit kind of fluid with sanity on now and again, because she's got her own addiction issues, which again is why they're such a great couple, you know, and why they've got so much in common. And then Vi, in this mode, thrown in as well to sort of try and steer them both towards, you know, a bit of normality. There is the potential for some really interesting character stuff to come, so I hope that's what we're going to get. But we will see. Vi has been brought back for a reason. They could have just kept Vi away. But, you know, Vi is back for a reason. I'm delighted because I like Vi, and you can at me as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, she's back for a reason. So let's see what this reason is, all right? And let's see where this story goes. But frankly, I'm enjoying it. And the added thing of the baby being in there, Rainie already looks stressed. Let's be fair. She's had this baby about 3 days already. She already looks like she hasn't slept. She already looks as though the baby's driving her mental. So I think this is going to be really interesting to sort of see moving forward. So bring it.
Funny you say that though, because I thought the scenes when she was holding the child and kind of comforting it, just a little off thought after you said that. I thought Rainie looked like a natural mother. I thought I genuinely.
Oh no, she looks like a natural mother. There's a very big difference between. Yeah, there's a big difference between being a natural mother and and being stressed about, you know, because to be a natural mother is a stressful thing. You know, nobody on the earth can float through life like a Disney character with one baby in one hand, doing all the chores in the other, and singing "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning" in the background. No one does that. Yeah. Okay, no new mother, and that's what Rainie effectively is. You know, no new mother knows how to do this. All right, especially if you're Rainie and you have someone like Stuart and you live with the likes of Vi and Ben Mitchell. You know, that's not an ideal kind of scenario to bring up a baby in. So there's a lot of sort of outer walls of stress going on, which I would like to see sort of bleed into this story and really kind of, because this should be the making of Rainie in terms of, because Rainie's always been seen as a bit of a mess. You know, as she kind of came in and out before she had this kind of solid long stint that we've had her in at the minute. You know, she kind of came in and out, was a mess. And was basically seen as unreliable. You know, I remember the relationship between her and Cora. You know, that was always quite fiery. So it'd be nice to sort of see Rainie be able to sort of cement herself as a really sort of good mother and sensible. But it's going to take a journey to get there, I hope. So there you go.
Yeah. After you saying about Rainie like being like a Disney character, I've just got this image now of like birds like floating in and like giving him like nappies and like it's like a chipmunks like putting the baby formula on and stuff like that, you know. Yeah. But I love that Rainie's happy. I really do love that Rainie's happy. And one more observation is I noticed that the inflatable mattress is back out, so Callum and Ben are back on the inflatable mattress now. Vi's in their room, so that can cause more trouble, I'm sure, down the future. Yes, in the future
they should be. Yes.
One more story then this week, and that is Jean. Jean started the week trying to get Rocky and Kathy together by locking them in the car lot. What is it, like a porter cabin? And then when Kathy found out that it was all a setup, Kathy then had it out with Jean. And Stacey started to see that other people around the square were now seeing the cracks starting to develop with her. So called Sean. So we saw Sean this week. I thought it was just going to be the phone call, and then there he was on a video call. What a lovely. It's so nice to see Sean, and it's so good for the actor to keep like popping in every now and then as well. Do you think this is a thing that could be coming just every now and then he'll come in, or do you think that this could be a setup for something bigger?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that, Sean is the sort of character that can come and go, and I don't think we're ever going to have Sean back on a permanent basis. I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I quite like, him sort of being able to pop in and out and do things. To be fair, I doubt very much whether he even visited the set for this. I think that was probably just filmed in his living room, wasn't it? And he just I'll do that. Like, like we're doing now.
Fair enough.
We could be filming an episode of EastEnders right now. Effectively, it cut that. But I really liked it, and there was a really nice scene between him and Jean actually on the video call where. But I was a bit confused by Sean's sort of the way it all finished though with Sean, because I got from the scene that Sean was actually very worried about Jean, because she could see that she was talking quickly and that she went in all sorts of weird directions, because Sean knows Jean very, very well. And Jean made a little jibe about, Brian and Sean's relationship and how that all ended. But then Sean sends Stacey a bunch of flowers and says, "Oh no, Jean, Mum's fine. Don't you worry about her." So is Sean maybe going to kind of deal with it himself? Is there other stuff going on there? Who knows? But it would be nice to see Sean again. Because why did they bring him out for this one episode? What's going on? I don't trust you, EastEnders. What are you doing? What are you up to? What's going on?
Yeah.
So, and we know that Kate Oates and Rob. We know that Kate Oates and Rob like each other. They get on very well, and Rob is always kind of singing Kate Oates' praises. So Sean will be popping in and out for as long as Kate Oates is around. I think is because he said that in interviews. So he likes Kate. He likes the show and doing this. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I would like to see him again because as much as it was lovely to see Sean on the last episode of the week, why? So.
I must say, I thought like you, I thought they cut it off very soon. I thought it was very strange. Like after the video call, the flowers appeared and then the note. The only way I could explain it in my mind was that Jean had embarrassed Sean on the video call by bringing up the fact that not everyone has a family where the son kills their own father, and you could tell he felt very much like you've got me there. So you've outfoxed me there, Jean. So I think that she kind of used that against him, and I think that was he saw that was his way of kind of stepping back. That was her signal to say, Sean, just step back, because I'm not going to take it from your sister, and I'm definitely not going to take it from you. But let's just keep everything civil between us. And I think Sean kind of understood that, especially because he's now out getting the therapy and the help that he needs. That's how I explained it.
But I just feel that Sean saw something in Jean because, I mean, to be fair, if we the viewers were in any doubt that Jean's in a very manic mode at the moment, which I don't think we were, but if there was any doubt left whatsoever, the last Thursday's episode cemented it as though Jean is absolutely off her rocker at the moment, isn't she? And I mean that with the most respectful terms, but she is in major manic mode at the moment, like making about 1 million buns in the oven, going and trying to stick with Rocky in the Vic. Like, this is not Jean, okay? This is very un-Jean. She is not being Jean, is she? Jean is not being Jean, as Daniel would say to her. So. No. I'm very curious to see where this is going. And also, slightly worryingly, she got into a very intimidating looking car at the end of the week, didn't she? And sort of told whoever it was to drive her to the party. Where has she gone? Whose car is that? It was a nice car. But who, why, what, where is she going? What's going?
Yeah. I mean, I can't help but praise Gillian Wright every time she plays Jean.
Oh, she's amazing.
Every different way Jean is portrayed, she's just played so well. Whether she's played calm or worried or, as you say, a bit manic at the moment, or when she's kind of, angry, everything is just played to perfection for me. Gillian Wright is such a underestimated and underappreciated actress on that show, and I just so glad that they're doing this story with Jean right now.
Yeah. She's brilliant. I wouldn't mind it if we sort of scaled back on the trying to find adverbs to rhyme with Jean Slater. If that's... I mean, how many more are there could they possibly come up with? Jean Slater Ice Skater, Jean Slater Rule Breaker, Jean Slater Master Baker. How many more can there be?
Yes.
It's like they in the writers' room, they've sort of set each other a challenge to sort of see how many each other can come up with. So, we'll see what happens. When we get to the 40th, I know, when we get to the 40th, we're going to have Jean Slater anniversary celebrator. It's Jean Slater wearing a fascinator. The list is endless. So
I must say that Jean Slater also has a knack at naming things her very self, because the game she created this week.
Yeah.
Drinky Tiddly, was it Drinky Winks? Drinky Winks. Genius!
Well,
drinking tiddlywinks.
Naked tiddlywinks. Naked tiddlywinks as well.
Naked drinking tiddlywinks. Naked drinking tiddlywinks. I thought it was genius. What a game. I want to play it, Rob. We could do it live.
We can play that on the podcast. We can play that on the podcast, Alex. Yes. That's our 250 of sorted. We'll play Naked Drunk Tiddlywinks on the podcast. You make sure you tune in for that.
I love it.
There you go.
Yeah, so look forward to that in a few episodes' time.
Yeah, there you go.
But how do you think Harvey is kind of coping with Jean? Because he's broken up with her now after he found out about Rocky. Kind of got approached by Jean in the toilet. He shouted shortbread, so everything was fine. It stopped. But Harvey's meant to be like, Harvey promised Stacey that he would look after Jean, and that promise was kind of led though on the fact that he thought that there was nothing wrong there. Do you think he's going to go to Stacey for help?
Well, this is the thing. I kind of expected Harvey to at some point this week, sort of, even if he said to Rocky, I think I think Stacey might be right here. I think something's really, really wrong with him. But he never had a moment like that, really, did he? It's like he sort of kind of walked in, accepted the fact that Jean had been up since 4:30, cleaning the entire flat and making him breakfast. It was like, great, yeah, I can get used to this, marvellous. Yeah, if this is your will, I can deal with this. This is absolutely fine. But then it wasn't until he realised what had happened with Rocky that he kind of was like, well, we've got a serious problem here. But at no point, I don't think that he ever seemed to think of it might just be Jean's mental health playing her up here. So either he has sort of completely and utterly underestimated how heavy Jean can be when she's in this mode, or he'd forgotten about it. Or he's like you say, next week we'll see him and Stacey having a conversation when Jean has gone missing and hasn't been home all weekend from wherever she has been taken at the end of the week. So, I mean, I have to say the Jean storyline was starting to sag a little for me at the last week, but this week actually it's grabbed me again, and I've kind of got back into it again, and I'm very intrigued to see where they're going with this, because actually it's going on for quite a while. It's not been one of those things where Jean is ill for 2 weeks and then she's fine again. Actually, this is something is quite a reasonably long-running thing, and I'd be quite happy if it kept being kind of long-running. I like a long runner, just, not some of the long runners that we had to deal with over the past 2 years. But a long runner is a good thing. So I would be intrigued to know where they're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, Jean's had a history of some long runners as well with her cancer.
Well, no. Oh, honestly, no. This is much better. I like manic Jean as opposed to cancer Jean. This is better. I wonder where this is going. Then there's a few. It feels like there's a sort of few threads that they could play with here. They've obviously got the Sean thing. They've got wherever she's gone off. They've got Harvey. They've got Stacey. Eve is sort of in the background. I love Eve's role in this, by the way. Don't you? I love this. I like her role of
so do I.
Yeah, Eve's brilliant. I really like this role that she's got of sort of keeping an eye over the Slater brood. I'll go deal with Lily, you go deal with this. I'm keeping an eye on Jean, you go get the change from the back. I like that. She's really useful, isn't she? She's like quite a little, really useful tool in the Slater sort of machine. So hopefully we'll see a lot of Eve over the next few months. So overall, actually, this week was quite good. I really liked this week. I was excited by this week. And we had some really good stories. The Carter stuff was fun. The Jean stuff was fun. And overall, really fun week. I enjoyed it. Well done, EastEnders. Keep us up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think overall this has been actually a nice week. I mean, I thought it was much more lighter than we've had in the past few weeks or months and so on and so forth. There was lots of lighter moments. So like I quite enjoyed the Jean scenes, and there was a few moments where I don't know if you were meant to, but I laughed along with Jean, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I quite enjoyed those scenes.
Yeah, she's funny as well.
And I am she is funny, and I'm intrigued. This is what you want from a soap. I want to come back next week. The stories that they led with this week, I'm intrigued by. So yeah, more of that, please, if you would. Thank you very much. So that was our podcast this week. Again, apologies, it's a bit shorter this week, but we will be back next week with I Ain't Want to Gossip. So don't forget to get in touch with us with your thoughts and your opinions, and comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Rob is going to give you all the details of how you can get in touch.
By simply contacting us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly, and finding us on Facebook at Walford Weekly Podcast. On YouTube, do not forget to like, subscribe, click the bell to get notifications about our spoiler videos, and you can listen to us on Apple, Podbean, Spotify, or any of your favourite podcast sites. Please do email us at robwalfordweekly@gmail.com or alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com. And we will be reading those comments out next week when we have a bit more time on our hands. So apologies again for the shortness of this week. It is a minor blip, and we'll be back to normal length next week, won't we, Alex? It's his fault. He's out getting drunk. He's an alcoholic.
No, I'm having a rare night out, so but that doesn't mean I don't love you guys just as much. But it is a rare night out. When I explained to Rob that basically this week we're going to be doing a slightly shorter show, Rob misunderstood that greatly. He thought that forever we were going to have a very short show. But it's all going to be back to normal real soon. Next week, Rob. I'm sorry, Rob.
That's all right. You confused me. Confused my little head in so many ways. So, until next week, thank you very much for joining us. Join us next week. Until then, it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him. Goodbye and cheerio.
Bye. Be more teen, have more peen.